macro viruses, they're back?
Well, if anybody remembers from probably like the 1999, 2000 time frame, that macro viruses were really, utilized quite a bit in Word and Excel. You'd open a Word document, it would automatically launch. Since that time, Microsoft has done a pretty good job at prohibiting and putting more security checks around any of that type of activity occurring. So that when you open a Word document or Excel document up and it's got any kind of macros in it, it will have some kind of warning that says this, file has macros in it and they've been disabled, but you can enable them. So hearkening back to Matt's story of last week, Virus Bulletin, who has recently kind of gone open source with all of their stuff that they used to charge people for. One of the first reports they put out here was one on this topic, and they saw an interesting trend. So these macro viruses, which use the Visual Basic for Applications, VBA, scripting language, they had kind of tailed away, but within the past few months here, they've kind of seen them resurge again. The way they're doing this is not automatically like they used to, because they were able to leverage it because Word and Excel didn't have any protections put in. But you can see there's a security warning and it says macros have been disabled. That's normally what you would see. So what they're doing nowadays, a few actors out there, is they're trying to social engineer people. In the document itself, they'll blur out a part of the image. It might not even really get unblurred when you turn the macros on. It's just a blurred image, and it says, in order to see the rest of the content of this, receipt or whatever it is, you need to enable the macro functionality, and they put a little arrow pointing, upwards towards the button that you need to click to enable it. So they're just trying to social engineer people into enabling the macros that what they're really going to do is drop something on your machine, a piece of malware or something. So they really use that as a dropper mechanism to put some additional malware that's really going to be the real infection, so to speak. But an interesting tactic that I thought would be useful to make people aware of, that this is kind of a tactic that's been emerging probably within the past 2 or 3 months here. And he has a really good report that we have referenced here that goes into a lot more detail of these findings. So another interesting thing, another good reason to go check out what he has available on his website in terms of the Virus Bulletin website there.
I guess my observation here, it's only sort of peripherally related, but one of the things I found is news sites, for example, in order to sort of encourage or make the advertising that basically provides that monetizes these news sites, they're making it more compelling that you do something with the advertisements. So they used to do the annoying pop-ups. Now what they're doing is they give you sort of the beginning or the abstract of the article, and then you kind of have to click through in order to actually get to the depth of the article. Which, and so it's a little bit along the same lines here that people get used to. In order to get access to the entire content, you have to click through to something, and this is just a subtle difference. And in fact, I know a lot of people that aren't, in the software or the security space might not even make a distinction between what they're doing in a browser or in a Word document or actually in the Word program. They just see it's a window, you do stuff in it, and so pointing an arrow up and clicking allow macros, very conceivable that folks would be basically sucked into that approach.
Especially if you're not a savvy user. A lot of people probably don't even know that macro viruses are something to be worried about, and there's I'll click it on. So something to be wary of, and educate your users about if you are in that security space or desktop. It's a good thing to let your users know about.
And it's the same scheme that they've been using for years with you've got to either install an update to your current thing, or you've got to add this new video player application. Same kind of take one action that normally a user wouldn't do, but there's a pretty good reason to do it, maybe, kind of.
All right.